Hello there, bullet journal community. This is Michelle Astley of A Balance Shared Production, a women's empowerment network, and I thought I'd try my hand at an April plan with me. If you caught the first bullet journal video, you may have heard that I am a prolific note taker, and being a prolific note taker, I don't actually like to start my plans with me until later, like really close to the end of the month. And since tomorrow is the last day of March, I thought this would be a great day to do that. So some folks will leave a couple pages, like if they're going to start their plan with me's a few days before the end of the month. I'm going to leave this whole spread right here for tomorrow and any notes that might happen tomorrow. And then I will start on page 128 for April. So this space that I'm in is the loft space in our home, and I share it with my son, who is playing some video games right now. So if you hear some giggles that I might not be able to weed out of the recording or something, just know that he's having a grand old time playing some games. And right now it's well, he said very fun IO games. He's playing some sort of ball going through a maze, and I'm ever amazed at how the internet has changed since it was more or less invented in 1995 when I was much younger than I am now. So let's begin. So the first thing I like to do is review what I did the previous month, and like just kind of the setup, and the things that I like to keep and the things that I won't keep. I'm going to actually keep all of these spreads because I did enjoy them all, and I think of them as kind of works in progress. So let's get to it. So the first thing we'll do is we'll do the April log and the April task tracker. I decided to pick a couple colors to keep the next 4 pages going, and that'll be this light orange, which this is the bummer about my Sakura Pigma Micron, which I love. They're great felt tip pens, and I love the diversity of sizes, and I love their affordability. But these guys and my Tombos, when I keep them in my bag, they tend to bump each other because they're pretty snug in here, and the writing comes off pretty fast. But this one looks like it is the 933. It's sort of a light orange color. 451, 173, and this is the yellow, the true yellow color, which, as you can see, I can't even read that anymore. 055 maybe. I use my 05, or it's a 0.45 milliliter micron pen for thicker lines. The one that I go to for pretty much general writing is the 03, or 0.35 millimeters. And then the 01 size, which is 0.25 milliliters, I use for finer lines, thin flower drawings or whatnot. This guy is one of my Pentel click erasers. I've used these for the better part of 25 years, and I will never go back. And this is one of my Pentel quick clicker pencils, and I've also used them about the same time. I can't just they're super functional. They've made the same design for a couple of decades. It's a consistent design. This is 0.5 milliliter lead, and I use it for go-to sketching, and love them. Love these pencils. Okay, let's get started. What should we do for a doodle here? Pretty boring when it comes to writing out the top bit. I want it to be kind of simple, and then I can go through it later. So we're going to start with a 03 micron. I used 4 from the last time, so we'll do 4 again, which will actually be 3 plus a line. So when I'm done writing the dates and I get the Monday through Saturday designation, I just like to double check that I didn't forget something, and sure enough, April ends on a Sunday, April 30th. And then once this dries, all pens need drying time. These felt tip pens, the Pigma micro pens, take less drying time than my trusty, beautiful, I have several of these Pilot Metropolitan gel rollerball pens, and they come out very smooth, very fluid, and the refill ink cartridges are only around $2.50, which I love. They feel really durable, really well made. There's a huge fountain pen community that loves these in the fountain pen as well. While it is great for note taking because it's fluid and I can write really, really fast, it is terrible for highlighting afterwards because no matter how dry or how long you've waited, it'll just smear all over the place. So when I'm doing these doodles and things, I like to keep it to the felt tip so that I can add my flourishes in different color and whatnot later. So April tasks, this is just it. Then I'll list out the tasks that I need to finish for the month. Next, I think I want to go with the tracker, the habit tracker. I found that I didn't look at this piece as much, and I forgot. I'm going to start with the most important thing, which is the habit tracker, and then I'll go into the Nourish Your Network, and we'll do gratitude on 2 pages this time. Let's try that. Oh, and see, look at that. You know, that's good though. I was going to start it here, but I actually don't like my tracker on this page. I like it on this page because it's easier to do. So we'll do Nourish Your Network here. We ended on Sunday. That's great. Here I used a ruler. My hand's not that steady. And I'm okay with a little wobbling and a sort of authentic look, if you will. A little bit about my goals that I have here, or the habits I want to track. I believe that setting goals is really important. Acting on the goals is something that I'm constantly working on and trying to improve on. In my business, we have mentors, and so I participate in a mentor call weekly. Personal development is something that we want to focus on every day or a couple times a week, whether it's listening to an educational, inspirational podcast, reading a book, filling your head with good stuff. I write a newsletter to all of my customers and clients, the people that are building this business with me, which in this business I'm specifically talking about essential oils, and I used Motivate and Passion, for example, to help motivate me in my creativity and process before embarking on this plan with me. So we need to support those who are also building a business with you, and so I do that. Customer support, any questions that clients might have. And then in this business, it's really important to be sampling, inviting, and teaching regularly. And so trying to track that and see how I'm doing. Different people come up with point systems and whatnot, but it's like the core activities that should be the business building activities. As a support to my customers, I like to write, which is where the newsletter comes in, on the blog, Facebook, and Instagram. So I'm constantly sharing stories about what I'm doing in my business and where you might be able to get involved or plugged in, or an education piece. Personally, I'm constantly working on moving. I know the goal is 10,000 steps a day. I usually hit between 3 and 5, no problem. So anything more than 5,000 steps, I like to, or like if I've done a class or extra or hike or something extra, I check that as movement. Hydrate, I've counted my water before. A general rule of thumb for water is take your weight and divide it by 2. And that is a great, easy way to figure out how many ounces of water you should be consuming per day. I generally drink enough water, so the question then is like, do I feel hydrated? Do I feel like I've had enough? Because even though I've had the right ounces, sometimes I don't actually feel like I've had enough water. So that's the question I'm trying to answer there. With that personal development, I actually do enjoy reading, and so keeping it fun, I want to read 30 minutes, generally before bed. And to start my miracle morning, I really need to be in bed by 10 o'clock. So I don't care what time I get up, because if I get to bed at the right time, I'll get up at the right time. So let's do some fun flourishes and color in here, and then we'll be done. I'll fill in, do the highlights here. I'm thinking of splitting up AM and PM. I didn't really leave enough room to do all day AM and PM because I kind of forgot that I wanted to do that. And I got that idea from Cara Benz at Bohoberry, and I'll link her blog in the description. And she's got a really fantastic YouTube channel with tons of information. So if you haven't already, I'd encourage you to check her out. And I'll do that later because that's a whole piece where I compare my electronic calendar with the items that I want to go in here. Let's add color. I'm going to pull out a ruler for this one.
It's actually called a stencil, Mommy.
I've been corrected. The stencil is also a ruler. That's why I don't use rulers. I'm a little envious of these other YouTube folks who seem to move so fast with their rulers, and I know they're speeding up their video to accommodate, but it's a little magical watching. They just do that, and they get it so even. When it comes to a ruler, I've got to check and recheck, and I've got a fairly reasonable command of line. It's easier for me to do freehand than a ruler. So, there's a moral there, and that's everybody can do art. Everybody has some command of line. You write your name, right? And when it comes to art, don't feel intimidated by those who you think are so-called better than you, because there's always somebody who's a little bit better and always somebody who needs improvement more than what you think you do. This is another reason that I love the bullet journal, is I can add all this whimsy just so randomly, and there's room for it. I'm not constrained by some prepackaged line that may or may not make sense to me.
Wow.
I got confused last month with the colors I chose. I like alternating colors, so I'm taking the 8 that I originally chose. I had purple for business and green for personal, and we're just alternating purple all the way throughout. So we'll get some pattern. I recognize these colors regardless if the number comes off. And it was suggested to me that even though I've been saying red is my color for many years, purple might actually be my power color. So we're going to work with that for a little bit. Some people thoroughly plan out all their doodles and flourishes. I am making this up as I go. I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with all the mistakes that I make, because this is a whimsical place for me to get notes down that are important to me. And one of my favorite lines of thinking is progress is perfection. And that's from your network marketing pro, Eric Worre. I'll link his down in the description too, so you can check out him if that's your jam. Fail forward is something that we say all the time. So the important thing is imperfect action and not being perfect all the time. If you're familiar with the Enneagram 1 sits in perfection and wants everything to be perfect. I identify as a 9, so I pull a lot from the 1, and that is something that I've really had to work through to sort of let go of perfection and embrace that we're all doing this thing called life together. All right, so I will start April 1st here and maybe April 2nd, somewhere along there, and then we'll do a new weekly next week, and probably going to fill this up this month, so we'll see how that goes. Thanks so much for watching my first plan with me. The editing process will be fun on that. We'll see how that goes. In the interim, have a great day, and thanks so much for listening. Bye.